Hey, I'm Ben Silverio.
And I'm Stella Cheeks.
And I'm Ansel Birch.
And it's
time to party!
This episode was recorded on November 1st, 2020.
I love how bought
We
in
are
you
not
are to
doctors.
the...
We don't give medical advice.
did
Please,
that.
drink responsibly.
You did.
We're doing John Cena because he's your nemesis or whatever.
He's not my he's a perfectly good person. I just
But
don't
he's-
like him as a wrestler.
It's almost weird to say he's a perfectly good person. Like, you don't know
I mean,
him.
he's not a perfectly good person.
You don't know
We've
anything
all
about
seen
it.
Total
like,
Divas.
Well, and also, like, you don't know this person.
What did he do
like,
in Total Divas?
He's the bad guy.
Oh, okay. So he played a character.
Daniel Bryan is the bad guy in Total Divas.
The men are the bad guys in Total Divas.
The men are the bad guys.
The men are the bad guys, period.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds right.
This is my
That checks out.
edutainment. The men are the bad guys.
Speaking of party people.
In response, sorry.
Yes, party people, that is what you are here for, hopefully. Welcome to Time to Party, where we talk about time travel movies and bullshit a whole lot. But we're on our third episode about Happy Accidents.
Woo!
A delightful movie from the year 2000.
With Marissa Tomei and
And
Vincent D'Onofrio. Yeah.
Teach me some things.
Oh, yeah,
Like
what's
in
a...
Tagalog or like as part of the podcast?
As part of the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Unless you were talking about like gene dips being manufactured in the Philippines.
I mean, I could have totally expanded on that, and I thought about it.
Yeah,
Party-
what is your subject?
Yeah, party people, this is the edutainment episode where we teach you something. For this month's edutainment, associated with Happy Accidents, I almost did a couple things. First, I almost did phone books. Then I remembered that we did that already.
We did that, yep. Mm-hmm.
Then I almost did Dramamine.
But I did that.
But I didn't know that. But I moved on from Dramamine because I found something more interesting.
I almost did Dramamine, and then I did do Dramamine because I couldn't think of anything else to do.
Really?
Yeah, I at one point was like maybe like digital photography because of the photograph, and I was like, well, that seems like a lot of work. I'm not doing that. No offense.
Ansel, what would you have picked?
I would have picked either UPC barcodes
Thought about that.
or the Delta of Venus.
Yeah, you texted me that after I had already done the research. And I
Yeah.
was like, well, I'm not gonna not read the thing that I already did.
It was such a pivotal piece of the plot that I was like, oh man, and now and you know, my little literature nerd heart just grew 3 sizes seeing like a book be the key plot point at the beginning.
You left your book on the bench,
Oh.
so you can tell
Veronica.
she's not like a big reader.
I put your badge on page 54 where you had it.
That was extra creepy. That's maybe the creepiest line in the whole book, actually.
That
Or
whole
movie.
interaction was a bit creepy.
To be fair, she has the right reaction. She's like, at first she's like, oh, thanks, and then he like keeps following her, and she's like, what the fuck?
And then he lets her move
And
in
then he-
And then
after
she
we...
moves in.
But then he just follows her around for 2 more like
Look,
transitions
she is a
of
classic
space.
codependent. Okay, what did you end up doing?
What I did end up doing was yellow taxi cabs.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're gonna have so much information, and I have like 3 lines.
I'm very excited for
I
this.
don't. So there were a couple specific questions that I was interested about when I was looking into yellow taxi cabs because, honestly, you could probably do a whole term paper about yellow taxi cabs or taxi cabs in general.
Really?
Like, because culturally, taxi cabs are different.
How the taxi cab industry is falling apart because of
Absolutely.
disruptive
Oh, that's a whole
technology.
other thing. No,
Yes,
but yes,
that's a
you could
whole
talk
other
about
thing
that.
that you could totally talk about. But I was very interested in a couple things specifically. First, I wanted to know why taxi cabs are yellow.
So you get run over by them less. Easy.
That's
I'm looking
Next
here.
question.
that's literally part of the answer.
It's got to be.
But
Double dumbass on you.
Double colorful metaphors.
but the color yellow came to be associated with taxi cabs by at least the year 1798.
What the shit?
Yeah, thanks to
When they were buggies?
exactly thanks to this musical from
Slap
Paris.
paint on the horses.
Just paint the horses yellow.
It would have been a handsome cab at that point, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. When it was like that, and then through the mid 1800s, the yellow cabs ended up signifying like the cheaper offerings of transportation. But by the time John D. Hertz founded the Yellow Cab Company, this was another question that I was very interested in when I was looking up yellow cabs. Where do you think the Yellow Cab Company originated from?
Philadelphia.
No.
London?
No.
I just thought you were gonna be like, score one for Philly.
No.
Or whatever.
I thought it was going to be New York, just because like they're
Yeah.
famously associated with New York.
Sure.
Iowa, Dubuque, Iowa.
Dubuque, Iowa is not the right answer, but it would be very funny. The Yellow Cab Company was founded by John D. Hertz in 1907 in Chicago.
Oh.
And
Score one for the Windy City.
apparently, Hertz is not Hertz. Sorry, Albert Rockwell, who a year later, he was the general manager of the New Departure Manufacturing Company of Bristol, Connecticut.
Too long.
Way too long. He totally should have cut it. But he went to Europe, saw the yellow cabs, decided to bring something like that to Washington D.C.
He
And
went all the way to Europe. He didn't go to Chicago.
So there were already yellow-colored cabs in Europe.
yeah,
And then in Chicago, Hertz was like, yo, that's a great cab name.
You know what color I love?
Yellow.
that's
I'm gonna make sure everybody knows the yellow ones are mine.
These ones are mine. That's how I call dibs.
the interesting thing about the yellow color for Rockwell was that it was his wife's favorite color, so he kept it.
That's cute.
Yellow with red
Fringe on top.
highlights.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Okay,
Yeah,
so yellow with a red fringe was Rockwell.
right.
But it's interesting because in London, so in England, if they were in Europe, they were yellow first, but then Americans adopted yellow, and then in the English were like, we're going black.
Yep, checkers. Well, because it's checker cabs in London primarily,
Yeah.
and I wonder if because you talked about how yellow became the like moniker or the like hallmark of a cheap cab. I wonder if that's where black cars came
Yeah,
from.
that's true.
If the black cabs were the good ones and the
Be
cheap
like-
ones were yellow.
Oh,
'Cause
that's
the-
If you got
The
a
dumb-
good backstory, you can be in a black cab.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you have a cheap backstory, you can only
yeah,
use
like
yellow.
Sam.
Look at the yellow
Prior to Rockwell's decision to paint the cabs all yellow, they were red and green in New York,
Hideous.
right?
There are green cabs now, though.
There are still green cabs, but predominantly yellow is the color there.
So Rockwell being a New York company, what were they called?
It's like really long.
Oh, right. Yeah, it sounded like a manufacturing company, not a cab company.
the New
the Dispatch,
Departure Manufacturing Company of Bristol, Connecticut.
In New York.
which
New York
operated in
division.
New York.
By 1910, the Connecticut Cab Company, which was part of that, was what they came to be called. But by 1912, it ended up being the Yellow Taxi Cab Company in New York. So it got shorter. He got with the program.
Eventually.
Eventually, it
Branding
took
is hard.
Took him a while.
It is hard.
So he went from long gobbledygook to
Yes.
he could have had CCC, but instead he went yellow cab, which is already taken. Interesting.
Yeah, it was a mishmash of names back then. Another interesting bit that I found.
And I'm currently finding.
No, I found
I'm
this
just
earlier.
teasing
I've read all of these things already. I'm just going back over them again, which is what our shallow dive ends up being anyway. Do you want to guess where the taxi cabs were manufactured and supplied?
Do I want to guess, or would you like me to guess?
You don't have to guess.
I was good because I could not give a single fuck.
Sure.
Philadelphia.
Incorrect.
Detroit.
Dubuque, Iowa.
Philadelphia does cool shit.
Dubuque, Iowa.
Unlike the Racine, Wisconsin.
Oh, I didn't know Racine did things ever.
Yes, they were supplied by the Racine Body Company.
Nothing against Racine, just didn't know they did stuff.
Yeah, look at them doing stuff.
I thought they were just like near Milwaukee.
Nothing out of Dubuque, though.
No. If only Brad Anderson had tied in things more.
It's no Beloit, but you know.
Sure. Finally. In 1912, in New York, the Yellow Taxi Cab Company charged 50 cents per mile.
All
Adjusted for inflation.
In 1912, that still kind of seems sort of
That's
high,
a lot.
right?
Yeah,
That
that's a
seems like
shitload.
lot.
That's what I'm saying. Because adjusted for inflation, in 2016, that was $12.12 per mile.
A mile?
Jesus. I mean, keep in mind that's 1912. Like cars barely exist.
Yeah, that's true. So you have to really pay for the pleasure.
You have to be like, I very much want this car.
Yes.
Also, how did you call a cab in 1912? Like,
You stick your
whistle.
leg out and you pull your skirt up, right? Isn't that how you
but
do it?
like, is this a motorized cab? Have you established?
Yes,
In
these are motorized
1912?
cabs.
Yeah.
So this is a motorized car is going to come pick you up in 1912. Just like randomly on the road? Do you call ahead? Like, how does this work?
I think they just drove around when people go out drinking.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Just classic.
I've never thought about the cab economy in the early 1910s.
Telegram, I'd like a cab here at this time.
Yeah. Beep, 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 beep,
Morse
beep.
code.
I'm planning on going out drinking tonight, and I'd very much like a car to come
Breaking
get
news.
me.
How does gin joint?
This just in, Warwick Johnson desires a cab.
He said, I do not.
I've heard that the Titanic's going down, and I really want to go drink my feelings.
Dumb.
Yeah, so...
Okay, so that was cabs.
That was cabs.
So the overall timeline is we
Way
started
longer.
painting
1700s.
we started painting buggy cabs yellow.
Yes, because they could be seen better.
Yeah,
There would be
yeah.
less accidents.
Okay, so it was for accidents, not for like, hey, there's one over there.
Sure.
Come get me, wave in the distance.
In Europe.
Yeah.
And then when it got to America, Rockwell was like, oh, my wife loves yellow.
Dibs.
kept it.
Okay, interesting. But Chicago was first
Chicago was
to
first.
use it as a name. Awesome. So Stella,
Ready to learn about Dramamine?
I am very ready to learn about Dramamine.
So I picked Dramamine because Sam takes Dramamine to deal with his
Drags.
Yeah, what was it, like TDE or something? Time display. I don't know, whatever.
Temporal displacement, something.
Yeah. So his spells. He took Dramamine.
It's kind of like jet lag.
So the discovery of Dramamine, much like a lot of drugs, was accidental.
Yeah?
It was in
What was it supposed to be for? Do you
it
know?
was supposed to be for hay fever and urticaria, which I don't know what urticaria is, so Google that, I guess, because I did not. I only looked up things about Dramamine. So it was originally called dimenhydrinate, and it was undergoing evaluation in 1947 as a treatment for hay fever and urticaria, which I assume is some kind of like rash.
Oh, yeah, it's a skin rash triggered by reaction to food, medicine, or other irritants.
Yeah, so
it's just another antihistamine thing.
Yeah, so it is a antihistamine. It was
Weird.
being tested by two scientists, Leslie Gay and Paul Carliner at Johns Hopkins, and they had a bunch of people coming, and there was a woman who came in with a case of hives, but she was also pregnant, so she had like really bad nausea.
Oh.
And so she took it, and she was like, okay, my hives are like going away, cool, bye. And she got on the tram, and normally being pregnant and being on the tram, she would get really, really fucking nauseous, and she was like, I feel like pretty good on this tram. That's crazy.
That's cool. What year is this?
This is 1947.
Okay, so the trams are a deal. That's
Yeah.
a thing.
Oh, it was also called Compound 1694. That was the like test name
Okay.
for it. Yeah, and so her hives cleared up, but then she said, "Oh, I don't feel motion sick on the streetcar or whatever." And they were like, "Huh, okay, let's just give this drug to other people." And like,
That test is good enough.
yeah, right. Well, and a lot of times, like, so
Spooky.
with streetcars and stuff, the thing that I read, I don't know how true this was, is like if you if you got like seasick or not seasick, if you got motion sick on a tram, you just wouldn't take it. You'd just be like, I guess I'll just like walk or whatever, or take a car or whatever.
Fuck me, I guess.
Yeah, basically it was just like, I guess this
You get
is
in a
thing
yellow cab.
Right.
I can't do. So nobody was like really testing for it. So this was completely accidental.
Which is interesting because cable cars, at the very least, were super common to cause that sort of shit. Because it's... Anyway, the way that a cable car is pulled, it causes motion sickness very commonly.
The way Ansel remembers it as a time traveler himself.
Yeah. Back when I went back to 1893, I remember getting very sick on a cable car.
Yeah, I didn't pull that, but there was like some weird thing that was just like... There was like... It was super serendipitous that they figured this out because of some like essentially, you know how you're talking about how your doctor would be like, oh, you take Claritin, so you don't need to know...
Who cares what the plot?
It was
what the reason
essentially
is.
something like that. Like, oh, well, you get motion sick on the streetcar? Don't fucking go on it. Like,
Yeah, could you stop?
the end.
You could just not.
Yeah, you just don't fucking do it.
Try walking.
Right, exactly. It was like a problem, but like not a problem people were looking for solutions for. So this was like a very serendipitous thing. So for a wider trial, they gave the drug to 1,376 soldiers shipping out to Germany on the boats. And they did not tell them that they were experimenting on them.
Gotta love the military-industrial
Yeah, right.
complex.
So half of them got the little yellow pill, and half of them got like a placebo. And the people who got the Dramamine experienced instant relief, and the other ones were like thrown up on the ship or whatever.
Interesting.
But they were experimented on without them knowing, which is shady. But at least it was just Dramamine. I'm sure they had some other shit that they got experimented on.
I love that as American soldiers in World War II, they were just handed a handful of pills
And
that
they
they
were like,
didn't know.
"Okay."
Yep, all right, you're taking all of these. And they went,
These are your anti-Hitler pills.
and they're like, yes, well, I don't want any Hitlers.
Yeah, and then they officially develop it as a drug for air sickness and seasickness in like 1952, 1953. And also, it is something that has been taken when people go to space too. So it's for all kinds of
So
motion
you're saying
sickness.
that William Shatner probably took a Dramamine when he went up with
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
He's old as fuck. If he didn't get motion sick, I'd be impressed.
Yeah, so that's mostly the facts about Dramamine. But I did also find out that people take Dramamine recreationally as like a drug to get fucked up. And I actually did not know that because in my head I would like, why would you take Dramamine? But like anything is a drug. If you take a lot of it, it will be a recreational drug.
When
Really?
I was considering Dramamine as my edutainment, that was the first thing that I found.
Yeah.
And
Really?
all the different names
The
for
slang
Dramamine.
terms are good. The
So
slang
good.
terms are include, according to Wikipedia. So this could just be like three fuddy-duddies.
I was
being
like
the slang terms
75%
for
in
drugs.
before. I'm 100%
Right.
in now.
The slang terms for Dramamine use is drama. Yeah, it's very good.
It's better.
Dime tabs, DQ, which I assume stands for drama queens. Substance D. This
Oh my
one
God.
this one is fake. This one was made by like a 68-year-old white like cop. D house
Wow. Yeah.
and drums.
Drums. Okay.
Abusing Dramamine is sometimes referred to as dramatizing
Oh my
That's
god.
my
or
favorite.
go and dime a dozen.
Wow.
Because in order to get a trip, you have to take like a dozen Dramamine.
Take a shitload of it. Okay.
Yeah, you have to like for real abuse.
I
it.
feel like I've heard dime tabs. I just didn't realize it was Dramamine.
I don't think it is. I think that's like it is for other like dime tabs feels like something that's told.
That feels like an ecstasy thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that's just
Or like a new Dimetap product.
yeah, but like the cool one is like drama.
Drama,
Or
okay.
I'm gonna go dramatizing and take 13 Dramamine.
Just a handful of drum.
Yeah, and you just like space out. I don't know what the effect is.
It
Like,
doesn't
couldn't
say what
really
the
find-
upside is.
Say, no.
No, I
Nothing.
just assume,
Nothing moves. You move your
Yeah.
head and everything stays.
Yeah, the world travels around you and you stay still. It's a type of time travel. And then the last thing I found about it, and because I'm not really into this type of music, I'm sure Ben knows, but Modest Mouse produced a song titled Dramamine on their 1996 debut album, This Is a Long Drive for Somebody with Nothing to Think About. The song uses side effects of the drug, as a metaphor for the deteriorating state of a personal relationship.
Oh.
I just brought that in to make fun of the music that Ben listens
I
to.
don't like Modest Mouse.
Oh, all right.
Have to
Because
listen to
they're
it on the drive home.
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
But also, this movie is sort of about like a relationship.
I feel like
May or may
this
not be
movie would have
deteriorating.
had Modest Mouse on their soundtrack.
Yeah.
It would have been a few years later.
Well, that debuted in 1996.
Right.
And this movie is 2000, so
So
you
it
could have
could've-
put
Earlier,
it on there.
a few years earlier.
Okay. But there's some fun facts about
That's-
Dramamine.
That is legitimately fascinating. Good work, both of
Experimented on a pregnant woman and some soldiers, and you can do it recreationally, but you have to take a lot of it.
you. That takes a truly stunning amount of
Yeah, like
Dramamine.
12 pills is a lot.
You could also take the pharmacy prescribed ones that
Or like
Sam
really
was taking.
intense. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, can you just buy Dramamine over the counter? I
You
thought you
can.
could. Okay.
But they give stronger doses of Dramamine
You're prescribed it.
prescriptions. Woo! We did it.
His friend gave him the Dramamine, right? The one that's
Jose
the Jose,
gave him
who is
The first one.
the
but
pharmacist
Ruby
and the-
kept getting more.
Oh. It has a psychotropic effect, such as hallucinogens or euphoria.
So
or use
theoretically,
hallucinations.
Sam, if we didn't know that was a real time travel one, and if we knew more about drugs, we could be like, oh well, he's just dramatizing.
He could
Those
he could have been
those aren't
dramatizing
spells,
the whole
he's
time.
just dramatizing.
Yes.
I mean, as well as his responses to music, his responses to dogs.
He loves
That-
polka.
this
He's
could-
afraid of dogs.
He could just be like really high on Dramamine the whole time.
That's the point of the movie, is being high on Dramamine.
We don't recommend, listeners, that you...
We're not doctors. We don't give medical advice. Please ingest Dramamine responsibly.
Do what you want.
Well, party people, we hope you learned something this week.
I did.
Yeah?
I
No.
enjoy that they. Sorry, you were about to land
No,
this.
it's fine.
But I enjoy that they, instead of trying to tell us what music would be good, just immediately cut to that sped up version of them just dancing by jumping up and down.
Yes.
Yeah.
With no indication of what music they were listening to.
They didn't want to pay for the rights. The
Yeah.
polka was 100% free.
Absolutely,
Yes.
that was in public
I
domain.
don't think there were any licensed
No.
songs in this movie.
No,
This was
you
like
can't
a-
license a polka. That's a law.
Definitely a law in Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, kids, the future isn't what it used to be. But but while you're adjusting to that, you can find us on the internet. I'm at bsilverio20 on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm at Salt_Cheeks on Twitter and at Cheeks on Instagram.
I am at Indecisionist on Twitter and at The Indecisionist on Instagram.
Special thanks to April Moralba for our podcast art and to Marlon Longid of Marlon and the Shakes for our amazing theme song. This has been an Indecisionist production.
You can join the conversation by using the hashtag #TimeToParty. That is time, the number 2, party.
As well as hashtag time the number 2 party. Thank you, Warwick, who is in the room this time. I just cut and pasted off a list at this point.
Yeah. Stella Cheeks, thanks for joining us. And
It's an honor to have a podcasting mogul like
my God,
yourself
shut
on
up.
board.
the P. Diddy of nerdy podcasts.
The P. Diddy.
Do kids know who P. Diddy is anymore?
I mean, I'm not sure I know who P. Diddy is. If
Puff
you,
Daddy?
Yeah, but
I mean, I know
think
who you
ever
mean,
do.
but I'm like,
that's not your vibe.
he's not really a
Ansel. We had a
mogul,
long
yeah.
conversation about Captain Britain. I don't think you're like up on P. Diddy.
I'm actually more up on P. Diddy than I probably seem to be, but still not very. Yes,
Just still not very.
he doesn't seem like a mogul to me.
He was. He is.
I mean, he
Yeah.
owns
He's
like
a producer.
Yeah, he's a producer, sure, but like he doesn't.
Owns a bunch of like
He's
clothing
not like the
companies.
front
he
of
was
it.
so famous that he decided to not be in the spotlight anymore, to put other people in the spotlight so he could take their money and continue to be secret. He's secret famous now.
It's true.
That's
That's
fair.
how famous he is. He's secret famous.
That is cool, actually, when you put it
Yeah.
that way.
It's like
I
a
was
big
thinking of
pyramid
someone who
scheme.
puts their name on the thing, like who you
Yeah,
know
but he's
they're
so
the
famous
mogul.
he doesn't have to put his name on the thing anymore. Because there was a while where he did. Now he doesn't have to.
No, he doesn't do
true.
that. Yeah.
I assume. I actually don't know what the fuck P. Diddy's doing right now. I'm just like a pretty solid like guess based on evidence.
That's fair.
10 years ago, that was definitely the case.
Yeah. Stella, where else can our listeners find your stuff?
I have 2.5 podcasts. There is Extracts with me and Erin, where we talk about. She shares X-Files episodes with me. If you start from the beginning, you can hear the slippery slope where I fall deeply in love with Mitch Pileggi. And I introduced her to Star Trek: The Original Series. And then I also have a podcast called Spooky 30s, where we talk about horror films with a new guest each time, because I used to not like horror films and now I really do. But we do, if you like the edutainment, boy, come over to Spooky 30s, because we do like full on academic research.
Can confirm, incredible.
Well,
Truly,
thank you.
truly.
And the half one is Not Your Demographic, still technically exists whenever me and Aaron feel like doing it.
Cool.
It's not dead, it's just not alive.
It's still the name of the network, though, right?
Yeah, NYD Productions, yeah, sure.
Oh, I was in
And the podcasts are still coming out. They're just like, I got busy with work, so they're like existing and they're coming out slowly. Still coming out.
They're coming at you.
My
eventually.
podcatcher lets me know every time.
Right.
It's very reliable.
Extracts, very consistent. Spooky 30s,
Super consistent.
a wild. It comes every now and then. Not Your Demographic, a pleasant surprise.
Yep.
Well, this has been. I don't want to say this was a surprise. I knew this would be.
Yeah, I'm fantastic.
It's true.
It's true. Well, party people, be excellent to each other.
And party on, dudes.
Yeah.